back to the channel. So most people go back to the basics with their horses because they have to. Maybe their horse is just blown up, they're having training issues, something happened, and they decide, okay, we have to go back to square one. But I don't want to be the person who waits for something like that where my hand is forced and I have to go back to the basics. In 2026, one of my goals with Diesel is to go intentionally through a full groundwork program. And that's even though he does have a solid foundation already. I'll be using Clinton Anderson's groundwork program as the basic template that I'm going to work from. And it's not because Diesel is behind or there's anything wrong. It's because I want Diesel even better. I want him more consistent, more responsive, more focused, and just more tuned in. Good groundwork shows you everything. How your horse handles pressure, how he thinks, how he regulates his nervous system, and how he's willing to try. And especially living here in Alberta, groundwork is the perfect opportunity to keep my horses fit and mentally tuned in. I keep Diesel staying fit and tuned up and responsive to me throughout the entire winter, predominantly through groundwork. Like I said, in achieving this goal of getting Diesel through an entire groundwork program here in 2026, I'm going to be using Clinton Anderson's groundwork program. What I like about it is that it's very progressive and builds layer after layer on skill after skill that you learn as you move up through the program. It's not just random exercises thrown together and put into some neat, pretty packaging. His program is split up into 3 sections. You have your fundamentals, you have your intermediate, and you have your advanced. And I plan on respecting that progression, working through each section as they're laid out in his program. Diesel has already been exposed to all 3 sections. I've done random pieces of Clinton's program and exposed Diesel to that. But with this, I'm planning to systematically go through the program exercise by exercise and not moving on until we have what we're working on solid and refined. And by the end of it, I'm hoping to have my dream horse on the ground. The fundamental section is kind of about doing the boring stuff well. It's where everything starts, the fundamentals. And I think it's very common for people to skip this. Or honestly, it's a spot where people will rush, and that's where problems can arise. You need to look at it as kind of like the elementary school portion of the program. The goal here is to establish yourself as a leader. And I know a lot of people take issue with being viewed as the leader over your horse, but I think that is very important. They are large animals. We need to establish ourselves as the leader in the relationship. And this section of the program ensures that you can move your horse as the leader in any direction. We want to go forwards, backwards, left to right. Horses know that they need to listen when we request those things. You want to gain your horse's respect as well as kind of a yes response when you ask them to do something. I'm pretty sure in Clinton's videos he says we want our horses, when we say jump, they ask us how high, right? We want them to be a willing participant in what we're doing. This phase is all about the basics: yielding to pressure, controlling the feet, softness, respect for your personal space, that's a big one, and remaining calm during all of this. We don't need a spaz. It's not flashy, it's not exciting. A lot of this is slow, but it's where trust and the foundation is built. With Diesel, because he has been exposed to a lot of this, it's going to be a lot of just making sure that we're really solid with these skills. I think when you've had a horse for a while, it's easy for them to get dull and things become just good enough. I want to refine that, so when I ask forward, it's very much a yes, how high would you like me to go? We want them to be willing when we ask. I want him to be light and responsive to whatever it is that I'm asking him to do. He is very much a stereotypical quarter horse gelding. He's not super energetic. He's definitely more on the lazier, quiet side of things. So definitely working on his responsiveness will be a big part of this foundational stage. And I'd rather spend longer here in the fundamentals stage than moving on to the more advanced stages and realizing that I have holes in my training that could have been avoided by staying longer in the fundamental stage. So I want to make sure that we're really solid here before we decide to move on to the high school stage, or what Clinton calls the intermediate phase. The intermediate phase then goes on to see how good is your foundation. This is high school, right? We've built up these skills in elementary school. We've learned our ABCs. We've learned 1, 2, 3. Now we're into high school where things are getting a bit more advanced. Here, we're not just asking, when I ask you to move, move. I'm also looking for quality and how quickly my horse responds. We want to achieve more lightness and responsiveness in this phase. It's about getting the horse to move when we suggest they move, as opposed to having a really clear and almost aggressive aid. We want them to move with the slightest cue in this stage. So again, this is going to be a really important phase for Diesel because again, he is on the lighter side. He's more whoa than go. He wants to please, but it's not his first reaction to be super, super light. And so, he could tend to be a bit more dull, and we want to try to work through that in this stage and get him lighter and quicker on his response times. Exercises in this phase are going to end up being a bit more dynamic, and we're going to be asking a bit more from our horses. And this is going to force Diesel to stay more mentally engaged because I'm asking more of him than just moving forwards, backwards, side to side. There's more to it. It's going to require him to be more mentally engaged with him, which I think is going to make our work more interesting for him as well. He's very, very smart. He needs that mental engagement for him to be willing to work with me for an extended period of time. And then the advanced phase is going to be more of our university level of the program. It's going to be the most challenging, obviously, of the 3 phases. This is where we're really going to try and finely tune the horse. The aim here is for cues to almost become invisible. If someone who is not a horse person is watching you work with your horse, we want them to not be able to perceive the cues that you're giving to your horse at this point. We want total body control in this phase, and we want the ability to guide our horse's feet in whatever direction with feather-like cues. Again, we're wanting them to be almost not visible to someone who's watching on the sidelines. And I think this phase gets me super excited to think that Diesel could be, I think it's like Jonathan Field. He's the only one that's coming to mind at the moment, but he does liberty with his horses, and he can get his horses to move with, again, what seems to be non-existent cues or aids to his horses. It's like they're just linked by their brainwaves to be able to work together. I would feel so accomplished if I could get to that phase with Diesel. I think that would be just so, so cool. I do just want to mention though, so last September, Diesel did get diagnosed with shivers. I will just read what shivers is for those of you who aren't aware. I will be doing a video on it at some point, but just for this context, shivers in horses is a progressive neuromuscular condition causing muscle tremors, cramping, and abnormal limb movements, especially when backing up, involving sudden high leg lifts or extreme leg extension, often with tail quivering, affecting hind limbs, and eventually progressing to interfere with forward movement. Though there's no cure, management focuses on diet, exercise, and supplements. As of right now, Diesel's only symptom of having shivers is that when I go to pick out his back feet, or when my farrier goes to work on his back feet, we need to keep his back feet very low, and he often does do an aggressive kick back with his feet and kind of like jumps to the side. As far as I can tell right now, it's not impacting his performance in the arena in any way, under saddle or on the ground. But it's just something that I need to keep in mind, that this is a progressive disease. We have no idea how it will impact Diesel, but it potentially could. So it's just something that I'm keeping in the back of my mind. I'm obviously going to work to keep Diesel in the best physical shape that I can to hopefully, I don't know, given that it's neuromuscular, like there's so much that I don't know about shivers, but I'm going to do whatever I can to keep him physically strong while I can, and just pray to God that it doesn't get any worse. It impacts horses all differently, but just something that I need to keep in mind as we go through 2026 with this groundwork program. Like I said, it's not impacting him right now. So at this point, we're going to be full steam ahead. If we want to do fancy like rollbacks on the lunge, or like transitions, or potentially even jumping over obstacles, like all of that is still on the table right now, because he's not showing any ill effects of having shivers that would impact his ability to do those things. In the event that that does start to happen, obviously I will pull back, but until then we are full steam ahead. So this will be a very step-by-step process. That's how Clinton has developed his program. I'm obviously starting it here in the winter, and I will do what I can given the winter conditions. Once spring is here, I will obviously start riding again, but I will also be continuing to work on the groundwork side of things, because I did set the goal of going through a full groundwork program with Diesel in 2025, and I did not do that. So I want to achieve that goal this year with him. So I'm bound and determined to make that happen. I honestly think we'll be able to run through the program pretty darn quick, just given the fact that he's young, he's fit, he's willing to please, he's a performance bred horse. He has experience with various exercises in the program already. I think we'll be able to go through the program fairly quickly, but I'm very excited to get to the refining and increasing responsiveness side of things. I think that's going to be really cool to see his progression with that. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I do plan on posting some videos showing my progression of doing groundwork with Diesel and how we are going to systematically be going through the program. I think it's going to be really fun to watch. I know I'm excited, and I hope you guys are as well. So please be sure to subscribe to the channel to follow along with that. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. You can also follow me everywhere at Strong in the Saddle. And until next time, remember, it's always a good day to ride.